So here we have Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost in Rock Art Greece. How are you, Nick?
All right, yeah. Fine. We've been pretty busy with everything, and now we had a bit of time off, and we're doing promotion for the next one. So yeah, a couple of weeks off, and then we're back out at it again, I guess, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a new album out the 19th of September, if I remember well the date. Its title is Ascension, which implies a rise or a transcendence or something. Yet Paradise Lost's music has always thrived in melancholy. Was the title meant as irony, or does it reflect a shift in your worldview, perhaps?
Neither really. It's more about um, it's always kind of hard to sum up albums when you write them. If you got to think of a title for it, I mean, I've always kind of liked that word really. And I guess in this context, it's more about rising up in life and doing the best that you can in the time you've got against all kind of negative forces that are pushed against it. And um, I guess it's like trying to walk on a tightrope with someone trying to push you off it all the time. But then there's obviously lots of good things that can happen as well. But um, I guess it's more about just trying to strive and doing the best that you can. And I guess for anyone that believes in kind of life after death, I find that also fascinating, but it's something I don't personally believe in. But what makes people believe in these kind of things, I also find fascinating, and why they kind of believe in certain things and they don't believe in certain things. I mean, it's pretty much the same questions that everybody has, but I've been kind of thinking about them since we started the band in the late '80s. But I guess I just view them from a different age perspective each time I write the lyrics. But yeah, I mean, it's album titles are always kind of unusual when you're thinking about them. There's no kind of massive grand concept behind it, unless we were doing a concept album, which we're not. So you know,
You've said that misery is enjoyable to write about. Did this album reveal any new dimensions of misery that you hadn't explored before?
it's enjoyable to write about, but it's not enjoyable to live with. You know, there's a complete difference. I mean, I can write about it, and I can get into a headspace and how the music makes me feel. Um, I mean, it's miserable music. We find it uplifting. You know, it's uplifting for us. It's a great escapist kind of feeling. But to be actually genuinely miserable and have genuine sorrow is not a nice place to be at all. So it's once I finish writing the lyrics, I shut them away and I don't look at them again. So it's not a you know I don't kind of if I lived my life like the lyrics sound, I probably wouldn't even be here anymore. So it's there's a time and a place. I mean, I try and just look at every like I said earlier, everything in life and all the shit that you get thrown at you and all this horrible stuff that's going on and what makes people do this and that. Um, and then I kind of write about it in hopefully some kind of poetic way. That's for other people to decide. But I'm not into kind of getting on soapboxes and making things very clear and black and white because I don't like to read lyrics like that. If I want to read the news, I will read the news, you know. So I would rather have something that's more fits with the music and words that make sense with words that sound good in context with the music. And so yeah, but it's very much I turn them on for when I'm working and then I turn them off and I don't look at them again.
Yeah. Greg produced the album himself. How do you decide to have one of your members produce your album rather than having an outside producer, an outside opinion, let's say? Does it have to do with the intimacy that you feel between you and Greg?
You don't really. I mean, the a producer is usually. I mean, they kind of come in on like an arrangement on a level where they're maybe arranging songs more and coming up with alternative sounds, and we just don't need that anymore. I mean, we've been doing this for so long. We know what we want to sound like. We don't need people to arrange our songs. We know how they should be arranged. You know, I guess when you're starting out in the band, I think it's pretty important to get someone more an experienced person in to maybe guide you a little bit in certain directions. Certainly not take over, but maybe guide you in certain, sounds and explore different sounds. But we've been doing it for so long, we don't really necessarily need a producer. We're not in that situation, So it's as in my opinion, as long as you have a very good engineer and you work with someone who knows the band, who knows the songs, who's got a very good ear for the music, and also hopefully a fan of the music, then you can kind of do everything else yourself. I think and it's also a lot easier to do it now as well. Because everything's digital. It's
Yeah,
recording in general is it's easier to get better results much faster now than kind of messing around with guitar sounds for like 7 hours in the studio. You don't have to do that anymore.
yeah, you don't have to do that. You know your sound. You know your music better than everyone else. It's not when you began and you needed a guy like Rice Fulber, for example, to guide you or.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, getting an outside ear is really important. But I mean, like I said, if you've got a good engineer he's there, he's in, he has an opinion on things anyways. If you're working with someone who doesn't know your music, he's not from that background, then it's kind of a bit, you feel maybe a bit more isolation. But it's good to, I mean, personally, I always like to have people from outside the band's opinion on certain things. But a producer per se is just, we don't really need anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, the whole album Ascension um, has a fantastic flow. It shows me a band, I would say, that knows where the band is, knows where it is, knows what they want. They you know everything. And did this album is this album, you can say, a retrospective of your career, or is it an organic result of your writing habits? Because it shows a very consistent band, and it shows to me that you were having fun even if you are writing miserable lyrics.
Um,
Fun
I
recording
guess
the album.
I think when we re-recorded the Icon album, it let us actually just physically singing it and the guys physically playing it. It kind of sort of brought us back to the time when we wrote that album and when we were young guys and how we used to write songs, and it was quite inspiring to a degree, and it made us change our approach to the songwriting with this. Not that we wanted to kind of just copy anything from the album, but just the approach that we had, it slightly changed it, and it kind of helped to shape many of the songs on this album. So I think that more than anything, not that it's like the Icon album, but we've obviously done a lot since then and learned a lot since then. But I do think that kind of put us onto a pathway where we thought, oh, hang on a minute, let's maybe some songs approach a similar vibe to those days. But I mean, there's a song on there that kind of, it could be off the Shades of God album as well. I mean, that's another album which we always really liked that kind of went under the radar a little bit. But yeah, I mean, with this what 17 albums or something. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I guess everything you do is like a chapter, and it leads to the next one, and then But we don't really, when we write albums, we don't sit down and think, okay, what album we're going to try and sound like, or which album was most successful. We don't think like that. Or it's just, that's not really constructive. We like to keep moving forwards, and yeah, I mean, and ultimately we are our own worst heaviest critics. We are the band's biggest critics are ourselves. So
Yeah.
no one criticizes like we do. So we're the first hurdle, and if it gets past us, then there is a chance or maybe a possibility that the general public will like it, but you never know. But you know.
Yeah, yeah. But over these 35 years that you mentioned, you've seen countless trends in heavy metal. Do you consciously avoid these trends, or do you kind of absorb or reinterpret them, or you just don't care about the trends?
Of late, we just don't care. I mean, it's. I think if you try and jump on any trend, it's like the kiss of death. Especially if you're not from that. You know, I think it's important to keep your ear to the ground and see what people like. And then, if all of a sudden you become totally unfashionable and you don't understand why, but you need to know what people are listening to. You need to know what the market is, the sales markets, what people are buying. I think that's important to know. But at the same time, when we write music, we don't really care what anyone else is doing. I mean, there has been obviously times in our career where we thought, oh, this band, this and what are they doing? What are they doing? But there's just no point. I mean, we've been going for so long, and we're known for a certain way of writing, and that's what we do now. It's not a case of, you when you start a band, most interviews that you do usually mention other bands all the time because they say, oh, you sound like this band, you sound like that band. But I haven't actually heard one person mention another band in our interviews referring to the album, which is apart from our own music, which is great, So it just means we're in our own kind of little ecosystem. It's just in
Yeah.
like
Previous years, people might say that Paradise Lost could sound like a couple of other bands in some songs, but over the last 10, 15 years, I don't think your music can only be described as Paradise Lost. You've earned
I
that.
mean, there's I mean, there. I mean, if there's parts where you think, oh, that sounds a little bit like this, then it's probably on purpose. I mean, it's we are, we certainly don't hold back. We say who our influences are for sure. We don't hold back that at all. But usually, if you hear a kind of nod to a certain maybe a band that you think sounds familiar, then it's probably on purpose. That's for sure.
Yeah, and there's a certain thing with the lineup of Paradise Lost. The first and most important thing is that the lineup is almost unchanged. Uh, how does this stability influence your creative process? And is trust, let's say, um, important in maintaining your band dynamics over the decades?
I think it's important to keep, I think a stable lineup of the band is better to recognize the band as a band. It's more. I think it's better. I don't think it's good if bands keep changing members all the time. I don't think it's particularly healthy for anybody. When it comes to writing, it doesn't. That's not really. Greg and myself have always written the music and the lyrics, so it's always been like that since the start. So it doesn't really affect that aspect of it. But I think just a band being three or four guys that are always there. I mean, I've just, most of the greatest bands in sort of history have always kind of been the same guys, more or less, and I think it's good to keep a stable lineup for bands. I mean, these bands have interchangeable members and they're still successful with it. But I personally, I think it's always good to have kind of the key players that you always recognize that are there, And
Yeah,
so far I mean, 37 years is a pretty long time, I guess. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, However, the position of drummer is a revolving door, and the revolving door brought back Jeff Singer on drums. How did that affect the sound or the spirit of the record, having one of your previous drummers back?
Well, I mean, Jeff didn't actually play on the album. Guido, our previous drummer, played on the album, and Jeff kind of came in very quickly after that, right before we started touring in April this year. So he kind of, but I mean, Jeff's always been a friend anyway. We never stopped being friends or, messaging each other since he left the band. So it's not really him kind of coming back. It's just almost like he just went out of the room for a little while. I mean, it was, I don't know how long it was, maybe 10 years, but it doesn't seem like 10 years. So but I mean, 10 years, in 10 years in our world isn't that long these days. So the first 10 years felt like forever. And then after that, it's just the blink of an eye, the rest of it.
The older you get, the faster the time passes.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely terrifying how fast it goes. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. um, so if you had to describe your new album to someone who has never heard Paradise Lost before, and you had to choose a song that has all the ingredients that you need to show him for Paradise Lost, which song would it be off that album?
I
Would it
mean,
be
I would sort of
Paradise?
my knee jerk reaction would be the first song,
Yeah.
Serpent on the Cross. But then again, there's quite a lot of clean singing on there. So I would say, I mean, either Salvation, because that's the most kind of grandiose song on the album, and it's very much like a totem piece in the entire album. But I mean, I guess that's a good. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's. But my kind of knee-jerk reaction would be Serpent on the Cross because I kind of just as soon as it starts, it's kind of unmistakably the band, you know, and I kind of like that familiarity like, it gives you as soon as you hear it, you know.
You know what?
So
I have my own story about that. When I first got the album, I started listening to it and put, of course, Serpents of the Cross to play. It's not Spotify. It's you hear the whole album. We are old school guys. We listen to the
yeah,
whole album. So the song starts. My wife passes by and she telling me, "Is this a new Paradise Lost album?" And I say, "Yes, that's it. We're in the mood. That's a new Paradise Lost album." Which is right from the first note. When the guitar started playing, uh, she, she was passing by. So, new Paradise Lost album. Okay, we're
yeah, yeah. It's got that kind of very instant. I mean, it's you know, it's Greg's guitar. I mean, Greg's playing style. I mean, Greg's the way he plays lead guitar is very much the core, the sound of the band. You know, I mean, that's very much right from the start. So his style that he does lead guitar is very much, you know, it's quite unmistakable. I think in that regard. You know, so yeah, it's great.
yeah, it's great. Um, did you have any lessons from the host project you did with Greg that you carried back into Paradise Lost?
Um, it was kind of quite separate because we did the I mean it's not like we haven't worked that style. I mean it's not like we haven't worked in that style before. Those songs, then that kind of style of song or the kind of format. I mean a lot of it was about sounds and guitar sounds, which Greg loves all that. That's his world, you know. I mean he loves messing around with guitar sounds, etc., etc. And different, you know, ways of doing things. But so yeah, from for me personally, not too much. Maybe a lot for Greg, perhaps from the playing perspective and from the sounds perspective, not too much for me. But it was we kind of had I think we had a few songs from this album already written before we did the host project thing, and then we kind of revisited them, and then we didn't like them. I think we got rid of some of them, but then we did the re-recording of Icon, and then we kind of changed how we, like I said earlier. So, and then we brought one or two songs back, which have still made it on the album. Which I think it could be Lay a Wreath on the World and Savage Days. I think those two are two older songs. Maybe they're from the first time when we started writing. But those songs are very different to the others, and I kind of like that. They're not like the rest,
Yeah.
and I think that's a really nice kind of mixture and balance. You know, but I mean, I guess having the amount of time we had, be it 5 years and 2 years or during the pandemic period, but having that much time to work on it, I think it really helped kind of mix the songs up and mix you know, experiment more with the sounds and the style of songs. So it doesn't get too much like the too samey, you know. I mean, you can obviously have too long to write an album as well, but I think too little time is becoming more damaging because you end up with very similar songs, you know.
Yeah, but do you think the experience of re-recording the Icon album put you in the mood of this kind of atmosphere, let's say?
It probably channels something. I mean, most influences are very kind of. There is no kind of light bulb moment when you hear something. It's just very kind of subtle. And you know, I probably said to Greg, I says, "Oh, it's quite good. I love the vibe of the Icon album when we redid it." I said we should maybe try something in that vein. You know, see how we do it now, all these years later. See if we still can get that vibe going a little bit. I mean, Silence Like the Grave is the obvious one with that kind of aggressive sort of feel to it. But I mean that singing style as well. As soon as I do that singing style, it just kind of makes everything more up tempo and more energetic straight away, you know. So, but it's a style that I haven't really done on an album for quite a while. You know, it's not. I haven't recorded that kind of voice for quite a while, so it was quite interesting to approach it again.
Hmm. Do you think that Paradise Lost would have survived this long if you hadn't taken risks with albums like Host and even 1 Second, I could say?
It's difficult to say because I mean, there's many bands that have been going as long as us, and they've rarely changed their style. I mean, they're pretty much the same every album, and they're still around. You know, I mean, I think it's about the songs. I think as long as you write, I think you just got to strive to write the best songs you can. And if people can recognize the songs and they remember the songs and maybe they have some kind of nostalgia for them, but it reminds them of times in the past, that means that's quite a powerful thing to have. I don't think it's necessarily the styles, but maybe in our circumstances, it definitely maybe it has helped us with longevity. But I wouldn't say it's definitely it's set in stone. I just think there's so much luck involved in everything, So, and I think the band started at the right place, the right time, and I think that's helped us keep a longevity as well. Because a lot of the bands now, people kind of coming back to them. The original bands, I mean, obviously, bands like Iron Maiden are bigger than ever now. So a lot of the older bands, people kind of getting older and thinking about when they were 18, 19, and they'd like, oh, let's go and see Iron Maiden. Now the kids have grown up, and we can go out and watch a gig. So I think it's gonna.
Has lost that your fans have become full circle. I mean, I personally think that Paradise Lost is bigger than ever now.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think you just got to stick at what you do, and like I said, it's. I mean, heavy metal as we grew up with it changed dramatically around 2000, and it's kind of come back around again now because everything that everyone liked about it, they're kind of remembering what was good about it. I think and like I said, a lot of the original bands, they're kind of having a moment in the sun again. And it's great to see that. But I mean, it's also I think the live scene is bigger than ever. And it's there's so many. I mean, playing live music, you can see any band every night of the week if you want. I mean, when I was a kid, it was kind of maybe Friday or Saturday you would see a band, and now it's every night of the week. There's probably an international band somewhere in your town. So it's that's really helped it as well. I think I'm live. Heavy metal's such a live kind of music anyway. It's definitely if you get out there and you play, then there's a good chance that you can pick up some more steam and keep going.
If you could erase one misconception about Paradise Lost, what would it be?
I mean, there's a kind of misconception that we're all miserable, but I don't mind that because it means we don't have to pretend to be happy then. I mean, like I said, I mean, we're like anybody else. We have good days and bad days, like anybody does. But I mean, I think people kind of think, well, if they make this music, they must be like that. But I mean, like I said right at the beginning, when I'm writing stuff, I turn it when I turn it off. That's not me who's writing that. I'm just back to my normal self, which is I like to have a laugh. I like to have a few drinks. I like to mess around. I like, having some banter with my friends. I like all that stuff. But I just think I kind of none of us really live in that world where it's as dark as what we write about. It's pure escapism for us.
Yeah, that's what I say. When we were in Hanya a couple of years ago, after we had lunch, we went and you had ice creams, all of you, and there were bands, there were fans of the band that were in that mini market where you bought the ice creams and couldn't believe that they were you because they thought that these guys must be miserable enough not to eat ice creams. So they passed by, they were wearing Paradise Lost t-shirts, and I was discussing with Aaron and Greg, let's say these guys didn't recognize you because you eat ice creams. And they think that, oh, these guys must be so miserable that they do not eat ice creams. And they passed by, just by 10 people.
I love how ice cream is the gauge on doom. It's like if you like ice cream, you can't be that doomy. I mean, who decided ice cream is not doom? I mean,
ice cream is like it's opposite from the hell that you're in. I mean,
the sunshine and the nice weather and yeah. But but I mean, it's we're just like normal guys like everybody else. Yeah, absolutely. That was a good trip actually. We really enjoyed that trip. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. And I think it was the first or the second time, if I remember well, that you played in a venue right opposite your hotel.
Yeah, because I watched Queensryche from my balcony, which was an absolute treat. It was fantastic. I mean, I was telling Jeff Tate, I says I couldn't believe it. I had like a VIP seat. It's just a shame. But we went on after them, which I would have preferred the other way around, so I could have a few drinks and But then they played. Did they play this year as well?
Yeah, they played this year as well.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
And you played with them. How did you find you saw in the Rockaway Festival with King Diamond?
Um, yeah, it was great. It was good. All right, yeah, it was fine. Yeah. I mean, it was usually I always associate that place with, and it's just usually really hot, but it wasn't as hot this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hot, but it wasn't crazy hot. So it was, yeah. But yeah, did we play like a Monday or it was like a kind of a strange night? I think we played. It wasn't like a weekend or
No, it
I'm
was
sure.
something like a Thursday, and there were
Yeah,
wildfires in
yeah,
the area, and the whole thing was under under heavy pressure.
right, right. Yeah, but I mean, no, it was great. But I think we have played that before, and it was like 42 degrees or something. It was just crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's the whole the shows that we do at Kingdown was great. I mean, the band are nice guys.
Yeah,
The crew were great guys. It was we did quite a few shows with them, and they were always really nice. Really good, really nice, positive atmosphere. It was good.
fantastic.